camera. There we go. Good morning, everybody. Good morning to you. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. This morning, we're going to continue on talking about some money opportunities and some money making opportunities for you to help you in your business. And that's what we're here over here in this corner talking about. We're talking about ways for you to grow and make money in your business. And if you are an entrepreneur, if you're a small business owner, if you're a visionary, whoever you are, well, we've been talking about for the last few weeks, we've been talking about how you can get some grant money to help you before this administration changes the game on a lot of things, and some of these grants are fading out, or they will be hard to get. This is basically putting it in layman terms. So we don't want that to happen to you. And so we're going to talk about some things, and we want to talk about things that's going to help you get approved. So if you grant money is out there, but if you're making these mistakes, I want you to listen up, and then we're going to talk about the solutions for you not being in that position. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And also, we're getting ready to do a workshop, and it will more than likely to be next weekend, or sometimes during the weekend evening. If you're interested, write grants, and I'll let you know when the early bird special is going to be $47. The workshop is going to go up to $297. So you're going to have limited time to get in at the discounted rate. And also you can begin the process. And even before we finish the workshop, you have some groundwork laid out for you and you discovering and getting grants for your business. Okay. And so now let's talk about some of these mistakes that we should not be making in our grant discovery and our grant research, first of all, so we can get approvals for this money out here. Because look, somebody's getting the money, and it should be you. Someone is getting some of this money, and hopefully it can be you. Okay. All right. Now, I always told you guys, you need a plan. You need to have something in writing, because these grant funders will not give you anything if your idea is not coherent, it's not structured, it's not laid out so they can understand what you need this money for and what you're going to be doing with the money that they're going to give you. So what you need to have is a plan for them. We call this a business plan. This already need to be in writing for them. This need to be a part of your package. You're going to need a pitch deck. You're going to need something to summarize your idea, whether it's going to be a service idea, it's going to be a product idea, and then also a 1-minute video of you just explaining yourself in this process. Those are the 3 things that's going to help you to be a little different, and it's going to it's going to have you in a position so where you can stand out like a sore thumb. Okay. All right. Now, in the beginning process of all of these things that you must do and you have to do is you need to be very specific and very detailed. And I'm going to give you some of these ways that you can get this information, what are the sources you need to get them from. So you need to be very detailed about what you're going to do. Say, for instance, what are some of the key things that you will do in whatever you need the grant funding for? How you're going to make an impact? What results are you going to get? What are some of the things that you're going to be, how giving you the money, you need to let them know, giving you the funding, how will the persons or the people benefit from whatever it is that you're asking for this money for? And that cannot be excluded. It has to be the top. You have to, all throughout your business plan or your proposal that you send them, you really have to stress this more than 1 or 2 times. It needs to be stressed throughout your plan. And so if you're coming up with a program, you need to basically cover the importance of it, cover the outcome, cover what is going to be needed every step of the way for you to accomplish a goal. And we're not talking about nonprofit grant funding. We're talking about for your business. How will your business be successful in the marketplace because you have gotten this grant to help you do that? And you have to do some research and to find out and to persuade them in a very truthful way how you will be doing this and how it's going to make a difference, meaning what the results are going to be. That's what you have to do. All right. And then now, what will the services consist of? What will the person get? You know, how, because a lot of times, whether you're doing a business or whether you're doing a service or you're doing a product, there has to be, let's say, there has to be the working, the core of, let's say, for instance, if you have a product. Now, in order for that product to be finalized, there are some ingredients that's going to have to come, along with that. So you have to put in the ingredients of a product. What are the benefits? So the outcome can automatically, you got to convince them, or you need to convince them, or you need to show because all of these ingredients that you're going to use, how are you going to get to the end result? And the reason why you're going to get to the end result is because of what you would have explained all of those ingredients and their effect and what they are. Okay. And what they are the benefactor of. So that's how you have to do. You have to explain it that way. For instance, like say, for instance, if you're going to do, let's say you're going to do, you may do, I would say, let's say a school or something not too out there. You're going to need to show what are you going to do in that school? What is going to be your curriculum? What is going to be the core of what you're going to be teaching in that school, for instance, something like that. And then what is going to be your demographics, your market, your age group, your psychological, are these going to be students that have trouble in their homes? Let's say if you're doing a school, so is these going to be children that they have trouble in the home? Is this going to be for students that are advanced, since they're gifted students? Is this going to be like a STEM program, or things like that? But along the way, you're going to have materials. And that's when I was telling you about the raw materials for the product was something that it's no different if it's something like that. Let's say, for instance, if you're going to start a boutique, or you're going to start something like that. Let's say you start a boutique. Now, in that boutique, your raw materials is probably not going to come from you. You're probably going to get a vendor for those. And so you want to stress the fact that what's going to be so different about your fabric and the fabric that you're going to use for your business. You come up with something unique that you're going to make. You're going to have a boutique that's going to help women, with, let's say, feel better. Or you may have a boutique for, oversized women that's going to maybe help them with their shape in some form of fashion, anything. I'm just throwing some things out there. So you can be very creative, but you give them the reason why the results is going to happen, because you're going to come up with this line of, clothing or garments, undergarments, or whatever it is going to be. I mean, just whatever your idea is, we just talk, just trying to give you an example of what I'm speaking of. And so you have to lay all of this out. And you also want to give a little bit more specific things. And this is what is not being given in a proposal for a grant. And then it leaves yourself like you're vague and you're general, because you would not have explained it in writing to the benefit of the to the grantor, so they can see the bigger picture of your idea. So and then also you ought to make sure that you have it laid out. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain, and then count the cost. And so now the reason why another mistake is you're not counting the costs and you're not being realistic on your numbers that you've coming up with when it comes down to you presenting your information for winning and getting a grant, because the grantor wants to know, what are you going to do with this money that we're going to give you? What are you going to do with this funding? So you have to give them the details. If you want something from them, you have to give them the details. You can't hide anything from someone that you're asking them for their funding, can you? You shouldn't. So that's not going to fly. That won't fly right. And so what you have to do is you have to decide on what is it that I'm going to, what each portion or what part am I going to need the money for? What you're going to need for materials, or whether you're going to need it for, a program, whether you're going to need it for hiring employees, whether you're going to need it for, in order to be able to achieve that, that result, how much of manpower you're going to need. All of that have to be included. And you, let's say if you hiring someone and you need to put in there the people that you're going to hire, well, you have to make sure that you have that correct information, and you can't just say you want to, let's say you needed you need an assistant. You can't say I'm gonna pay my assistant, she gonna make, look, $1 million a year. I'm just saying that's outrageous. So you got to be realistic in your approach too. And so I'm going to give you in a few minutes of some resources that you can find and discover this information. And then also in the class and the workshop that we'll be doing, I'm going to even go a little bit deeper on how and what all you're going to need, and put it in your proposal, because the more clear and detailed you are, your chances of winning the grant is going to go up. So let's look up. The more information you have, and have it simplified. It don't have to be so difficult. All of this information I'm sharing with you, it doesn't have to be rocket science. You can present it in a way that it can be digestible, clearly understood. Okay. It can be clearly understood. And so now also you want to, the next thing that you definitely want to do is in some of the things that hadn't been done, and this is maybe why in the past that a lot of grants wasn't approved for those that are applied for them, is that you're not showing the measurement, or you're not showing how things will be measured, and how after you measure them, what the results will be, and what the outcome could be from whatever you are doing. For instance, if you have a certain product or services, your product or service should be working and making a difference within what amount of time. You have to determine that. You have to give that. And so that can give the reason why this is something that is needed in the marketplace. This is a part of your being persuasive in your delivery, being persuasive in your proposal, being persuasive in your planning. And so you have to understand that. You have to know what in those areas, what you need to do. And for instance, like the school example that I gave, what's going to change because of your school is being there? What is going to happen? Who's going to benefit? What is going to be, if you're having a school that you're going to teach the STEM program, science, technology, entrepreneurship, and what is it? No, it's STEM is what is science, technology, engineering, and math. That's what STEM is. And so what areas, each one of those, what will you be approving? What's the benefit? What's going to be the benefit of someone going to your school? So yeah, I'm just using that as an example. So that's kind of how you, in that arena, that's how you can be persuasive and prove that. You have to give the information. You have to back up your information. Basically, that's what I'm saying. Back up the data, what you're telling them. Back up the information with your research. And that's why it has to be done. Okay, so where you can be, that's how you persuade. You have to give the reason why. um and these are just a few, but you can get a grant for almost anything, and whatever kind of grant you're looking to get. Yes, you need to. Thanks so much for the likes. And whatever grant you're out there looking for to receive, this is what you need to persuade them on. Whatever it is, you need to give them the reason why it's going to make a difference, and the reason why the funding is going to be well spent. They want to see that. However you present it to them, that's between you and your research. All right. And now let me give you a few companies and a few agencies that's going to be good. I'm gonna give you like one of each out of each category. Okay. And then the rest of them, you can get them if you're going to be a part of the grant workshop when we decide on redoing it. Okay, so now in the federal space, resources that can help you to come up with these, and to come up with this information, yeah, it will be, you need to find out. The SBA has a lot of information, and it all depends. Like you have different agencies that, even some of these agencies offer grants, but you have in the research, finding the research, the finding your resources information that can help you, that's going to help you be persuasive in your grants, developing your grants where you can get that approval for a grant. Because like I said, remember, you have to just back up. Hey, you got to back up this data that you're giving them. You got to back it up, giving them numbers, show where in the past that there's sources that have this information, that saying, okay, in the past, this has helped this particular, company. Let's say, for instance, even with your product line, okay? Your product line, let's say you're making something for, you're making a healing cream or something like that. Go to the Food and Drug Administration and research and find out what has in the past, what has helped, what kind of studies have been done on certain, maybe certain healing products or healing medications or things like that. And if you want to get away from that kind of stuff and you just want to make something more natural, dispute why your product will be better than what it's already been out there on the market. The data will be there. You just have to look for it. It will be right where you need it. It ain't gonna be in your face. Now, some free resources that you can discover this information and you can find out what's going on is going to be, you can go to libraries and look in their publications there. You can go to the census.gov. They have information there for you. There's fedstats.gov, has a lot of information, historical data for over 100 government agencies. The information is there. And if you're looking for certain industries, you have the IBIS world of information that has your market size, the growth forecast. It has competitive analysis and industry, and then it has a lot of case studies that will show you what has been studied, or what has been happening, and all those kind of things. It may even sometimes have like different areas of, it all depends on what you're doing or looking for. It even show like lawsuits on different just different industries that has had issues, because it all depends on what type of business you have. That could be prominent, lawsuits could be prominent in those certain industries. So you want to make sure that you know all of that. Look into your local small business development centers. They have a wealth of information for you there. And then also, when you're looking to find more information on research, there's the Pew Research Center, Pew, PEW Research Center. They have information on demographics, economic, and trends. Trends, even with technology trends. All of that information, all of that is not, is not. It shouldn't be a stranger to you. And then also look at other, other ways, other financial, to get financial data. You have the economic, I think it's the economic indicators. That's a good source. I use that quite a bit when I am even doing business planning for my clients or some things like that. That is a wealth of information. So you have to know some of these resources is going to be very beneficial for you. You don't have to guesstimate on everything. You have to be strategic. You have to give them talking points. I don't know what a lot of you, not talking points, but what are talking points to help you explain your cause that you're advocating for, or whatever, to help you with your business idea. I don't know what a lot of you in school, you remember when you had to do the research and you had to give there was an outline. There's no different from this when you're writing the plan out, give the who, what, why, when, where, and the how. Okay. How? That's what they want to know. How are you going to pull this off? And so if there's anything particular with the innovation, if you working on, you're trying to convince some agencies to give you the grant money for innovation, you have to show where it can be achievable and it's going to benefit, because and you solving them, if you more than likely you will be convincing that you're going to solve a problem. Find out how you're going to convince them, how you're going to definitely solve this problem, because you may share information with them that they have no earthly idea, and it may all make sense to them, but you just had, they had no earthly idea that these things exist to the point that they can be, they can be solved or rectified. And so with you gathering all of this information, it's going to look a little different. It's going to look a little persuasive in a way. They're going to see it from a different lens, put it that way. Okay. And then also, if some of you are in college, or if you're able to, sometimes universities will allow you to come in. You can go online and look at a lot of them. They have a lot of free resources. Go online and look and see what some of these specific universities have. Hint, hint. That's a little hack for you there. Yes. Some of the colleges and universities have a wealth of information, and you just got to do a little reading and do a little narrowing down in the categories of what you're looking for, so where it won't be so overwhelming to you, but you can, more than likely, you can get to a lot of answers that you're looking for in you developing your grant proposal. And so a lot of this stuff, it might be a little tedious and a little foreign to you, but if you're going to come to the grant workshop, we're going to make it a little simplified. But however, this is why too, you can't get anybody to work on a grant for you and they're charging you. It's well worth it, because there's a lot go into it. Now you can just sit there and throw something together, because I know everybody out here has made life so easy for a lot of y'all. The easy way to do this, the easy way to do that. It's one step for this, 2 steps for this, and all this crazy stuff. This is why a lot of you are not accomplishing that massive, those goals that you really want to do. And you're starting, you stop, but you got to stop doing that. If you want to achieve massive success, you have to put in the work to do it. It's not a cookie cutter out here. And things are going to get a little bit more gatekeeping, and they're going to be a little bit harder, but you can get it. But you just gotta use your strategy. There are strategies to all of this. There's levels to this. There's nothing that's going to come to you overnight. So if you're looking for it, your patience is out the window. entrepreneurship is not for you, just go on and work for somebody else and do the job and do it to the best of your ability and go home for the rest of the day and be happy, and hopefully your job will be there in your old age. If that's what you're looking, that if you don't want to do the work, then that's what you're going to have to do. All right. So anyway, all right. Well, that's all that I wanted to share with you today about the mistakes. And yeah. And so anyway, I will definitely, are there any questions over here before I go? Y'all got any questions? Y'all mighty quiet today. Y'all mighty quiet. Any questions before I leave? And so see if anybody else want to answer any questions. Are there any questions? Let's see. Thanks for the long hearts and the likes. Thank you. Any questions? But those are some things that you can do when you are approaching the grant possibilities. Getting approved is not difficult. It's just that you have to be strategic about it. That's all. Be strategic. That's it. Yeah. So I'm going to get off here, and there are no questions. I will see you in another video. And just remember, if you have someone that you feel like you want to work on getting you a grant for your business, because you think, hey, if I'm going to get this business off the ground, I got to get some money for it. Well, you need to join us when we get ready to do the grant workshop. Okay. All righty. So anyway, that's all for now. And that's all that we're going to speak on right now. And y'all have a beautiful morning. The rest of it. Bye-bye.